pinpoint me to something that would allow me to think differently. People in this time paid no regard to the Mosaic law. People in our time, we don't live under the Mosaic law, but people in our time, you could pull this out, and somebody's probably going to say, well, what's that? And somebody's probably going to ask you, well, why should I believe what that says? Habakkuk was familiar with God. He knew what God was going to do. He understood what God was capable of doing. And I hope that you and I have an understanding and a familiarity with God, and we know what He is capable of doing. Instead of seeing the corruption and letting it cause us to doubt God and lose hope and ultimately end in rebellion against Him, let us, you and I, this morning consider the message that God gave Habakkuk and recognize that the words of Jeremiah 29:11. Anybody familiar with the book of Jeremiah? Jeremiah, in chapter 29, he's writing to exiles. People who were basically kicked out of their homeland, right? Lived under persecution. They were facing things that you and I have no idea what it's like to face. And in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, God declares something to these exiles. He says, I have a plan for you. The Lord declares, I have a plan for you. And it's not a plan to harm you, but it's a plan for your own good. That's what God declares. So what you and I need to do, what we should do, is instead of leading or letting all that we see drive us to corruption and let us cause doubt against God, what you and I should do is do what Jeremiah 29:11, or we should recognize that God has a plan for you and I. All that's happening, guess what?